a team's game knowledge and macro and the game was a lot more important. But if a team was better than you macro-wise, you just couldn't win. Like you could never win a single game. Like you know how like sometimes West steals one game off of a team from the East based on like some random shit? That would never happen back then. Like the West just could not win a single game against SKT this tournament. It was not possible. I think they dropped one game this whole tournament. It was in the finals, 2 Coup Tigers, right?
Yep.
That's how it was. You could not beat a team that was better than you in this year, this meta, this time of the game's like existence. Even though like the lane swap that was made at Worlds to be the meta was the European one that Origin and Fnatic reinvented, or like for Worlds, right? So even though we had a starting advantage that we made the best lane swap meta, it didn't matter. It was just Koreans adapted it, took it, and then they were better than us in every way possible. So it felt like you could never actually win. And I didn't realize that until after the series was over, that like you had no chance of winning. Even if the first game was close, even if we got first blood in some of the games, it just didn't matter.
People might not actually remember, but in part of one of the infamous Reckless versus Forgiven beefs, you got like some mad stray. You know what I'm talking about here? Where when Freeze and Forgiven, who basically themselves thought of themselves as like this, like, oh, we're the hard job by guys, you know, had to like struggle and make it through. Yeah, you two were the Nordic Golden Boys, because it's true, you did get like amazing teams. You're on all these top spot. When you had that, like, was that really just a stray, or were you like trash talking them in scrims or something? Did you have some like professional rivalry with them? What did you think of that? Like, do you agree at all? Do you think, were they being unfair with how they characterized it?
I mean, in some ways, I agree. I got lucky. I got into the LCS scene at the best time before things got so professional that you had to go through academy or ERLs nowadays. So that was lucky in that sense. But I worked hard for what I had, and no one gets opportunities from 2 of the best teams in the EU at the same time by being lucky. I think Forgiven is right in some sense that he got, you know, he won a tryout from SK Gaming that I probably would have taken if I could, and then I got a better opportunity afterwards by not taking it, you know, by not winning the tryout. That makes sense. But I think there was no doubt about it that him and Reckless and I were the 2 best ADCs in the EU. I feel that's something that to this day, Forgiven had a lot of problems, I think, mentally, with always blaming others or his teammates or everyone else around him for everything that happened to him. He was a very skilled player, and playing against him in like the spring of 15, he was by far the best ADC in that specific split, in my opinion. He also got MVP, which he deserved, but I don't want to talk about the guy because we actually talked on good terms today. But he had a lot of problems with personality, like non-game related things,
yes.
I guess. I still remember him screaming after 16 finals when he lost to Fnatic. That was the infamous like game 5. Fnatic win one team fight, they end down mid. That was the long death timers patch, and they just ended down mid. And I remember Forgiven typing like something like AD gaps tongue face in all chat, or like better ADC wins smiley face. And I remember him coming off stage, and they were like in this very wide player area where I could just hear him screaming at probably the coach back then, and it was just so fucking glorious. We were sitting there like laughing our asses off. That was the day before finals, right? That we were playing as G2. I think that Forgiven was always a trash talker, like in scrims, in solo queue. Back then we had dynamic queue, where it was like kind of like playing scrims with different players. I would play with like some of the G2 players, some of the Fnatic players, just random people against him, and he would always talk shit. Like you get one gang, he's like, I can't fucking 2v2, ha 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 ha, and like in scrim, solo queue, always. He was very good at firing you up. When you play against Forgiven, you really cared about winning. So he pushed me in some ways to be better, but I do think that ultimately both him and Freeze always took every opportunity they could to excuse themselves from performances, and I don't know. I didn't care much about it back then. I just kind of did my own thing, and I knew that I was gonna make it to the biggest stage. I always knew it. Forgiven was talking shit about me before I even went pro. I remember meeting him in solo queue, and I didn't realize he was actually someone back then. And he would always just be like, in every single solo game he played against anyone, whether it was me or a pro player or some randoms, he would just talk shit. If you got ganks, if you lost 2v2, if anything happened, he would just all chat something really cringe, annoying, like can't 2v2, ha ha ha, you guys are so fucking bad, and like this kind of stuff. And he was very like, people hated Forgiven in both solo queue and in pro play. Many people still do. So he was an interesting person to play with because he really pushed the people around him. in some sort of way.
Was he actually overrated as a player though? Like obviously you admit he had skill set and he was skilled. Was he? Yeah. Was there like weaknesses to his game though?
Some, yes. FORG1VEN was very, very good on Graves, Lucian, back then at lane champ. Nowadays, maybe not. But he was very good on Graves, the old one, Lucian, Caitlyn, all kinds of like lane champions. And he was really, really good at winning lane. But he didn't have a good mindset for playing losing matchups. That's why I always drew the parallel that Reckless was very good at playing the skilling and lose matchup because he would lose gracefully and lose less than other people would. While FORG1VEN would be winning harder than most people would in the win matchup. That's why it was a funny like difference between them as both people and
even that's like some anime shit, isn't it? It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. But FORG1VEN was very, very skilled and mechanically he was way better than everyone else at the time in Spring Split and towards summer. I think it got more even between him, and Reckless. But yeah, he was really skilled, and I don't think that his MVP was undeserved at all. I think it was very, very deserved, and I think in a different universe, he could have easily been on a better team and they could have won LEC. I think that he's probably one of the...
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.